But we'll start things off with the DXY and then progress to the USD majors, gold and silver. So I've been pretty bullish on the DXY, looking for buying opportunities, looking for strength in the dollar. I haven't really seen that. We were hinting that with the breakout kind of yesterday slash, more so yesterday slash Tuesday. Looking for continuation, looking for price to really break out of this descending channel, really get going. So that was the plan for the dollar, or at least my plan anyway. As price approached a very nice area of demand, we tested that a few occasions, started to see some momentum, started to get a breakout. So the plan was looking for us to kind of build up that momentum and start to see some real upside. But we haven't really seen that. We've seen a little bit of upside, but more so it is quite corrective. We are coming to an area of supply to our left here, and I do wonder is price is having a bit of a corrective pullback to perhaps continue lower. Yes, we've broken out of the descending channel, but again, it's not always that a breakout of a descending channel or ascending channel always results in a big push to the upside. Sometimes the breakouts can be quite tiresome and price potentially does continue in the original direction anyway. It's only when we get that momentum that really picks up do we really see those big breakouts and see those big swings. So because of that, I'm getting some real red flags here with USD strength, and I'm being very, very careful. I have closed my euro trade, which we'll get into in a moment. But momentum is a key concept when I did take the trade, because especially when you're taking trades on a breakout, say a breakout of a channel, or even a breakout of a level, a key component of that trade is momentum. The only reason why you're taking the trade is because price is breaking a certain characteristic, trend line, support resistance, moving average, etc. And it's doing it with momentum. So if the market's going to start to slow down afterwards, that's a real big sign that maybe the breakout you took is probably not going to play out. Again, nothing's 100%, but more leaning towards probably not going to play out. And in dollars, in the USD's case, since the overall trend is still down as well, I have to be kind of extra picky with these long ideas, because if the trend is going to continue, I don't really have that higher time frame backing to support my trade. If anything, the market is more likely to go against me. So we had that breakout on Tuesday, but I haven't really seen conviction. I'm looking at this area to our left, nice area of supply we're tapping into now. That looks like a double top to me, and potentially we could sell off pretty aggressively. Of course, this current candle's looking pretty bearish right now. It still does have 1 hour and 48 minutes left before it does close, but if it does close something like that, perhaps we are getting ready for a bit of a sell-off, bit of a counter trend line there. I do wonder if we do break through that, do we see another drop there for USD? I wouldn't be surprised, at least back to support anyway. So dollar's not looking too good. Again, I have been bullish, but I'm relaxing on that bias right now. I think intraday, especially a break of that counter trend line, I actually do fancy another sell back to 97.7. So at least kind of an intraday, or maybe for the rest of the week, we might be seeing a bit of a bearish swing there for the dollar. As for EURUSD, I was in some shorts yesterday, but things weren't going to plan. I took it on the 8-hour chart. So the entry was over here. Stops above the high over there, and initially targets at the low here, but if things went well, I would hopefully have held all the way to the low there as well. So that was the plan there for the USD trade, EURUSD trade. And of course, similar to the dollar, we had the break of this ascending channel, which was a key component for me to actually enter the trade, because price is being very ascending, very corrective, which I did like, because it shows that price is slowing down, finding it difficult to continue to trend higher. Of course, we did tap into a very nice level of supply, and the overall plan was to see if we can catch another lower high, another drop lower. So that's been the plan for Euro, and when we did get this breakout, we got a nice little retest there, nice kind of confirmation coming lower. So that was the entry, stops above the high there, and hopefully looking for momentum to pick up and a push to this level, so on and so forth. But after I entered it, a couple candles later, again, this is the 8-hour chart, so a couple candles is actually 16 hours, so quite some time later. But we did start to pick up momentum against me, which was not really what I wanted to see, and especially taking into account what the dollar was doing, the DXY was doing, it wasn't looking good in terms of momentum. So I decided to close the trade after this candle here for roughly like a 0.3 R loss out of the whole trade. So I closed the trade early because momentum wasn't there, and this looked quite corrective to me. This kind of looks like another descending channel, a corrective channel for perhaps maybe a continuation higher. This could be a bit of a double bottom here for price to push up higher. So I wasn't really liking the momentum. I did say to myself, if things do start to pick up again, I don't mind entering a little bit later, but I'd rather get out, especially with the DXY not looking brilliant, and then re-enter later on. And that's kind of where I'm at with EURUSD. So I was pretty bearish. I did exit the trade there. I think I managed it well. But yeah, this is looking really corrective to me. So the way I'm looking at Euro right now is got kind of an area of demand there to our left, really corrective structure. I wonder if we're getting ready for something like this for another swing to the upside, which again is not necessarily anything crazy. The market still may have this sell off, but it might want to rally first before that happens, reject the level again before we do downturn. It's just maybe my timing of the entry was a little bit off. So I have pulled the plug on that position. Relatively small loss, so nothing major, but the momentum that I was expecting just didn't happen. And of course, taking into consideration what the dollar was doing, that was more than enough sign for me to say, okay, maybe let's pull the trade here and potentially get back in if momentum does pick up later on. So that's kind of the take I've got on Euro. Maybe a push to the upside first before we push down. Also, pound USD hasn't been brilliant. Sure, it's seen a bit of downside, but again, this is really corrective. And again, this looks like price potentially could be getting ready for a push up higher. This could be forming somewhat of a inverse head and shoulder pattern, left head, right shoulder potentially. Of course, that would be your neckline for the pattern. If this is going to be a right shoulder, you expect to push higher, perhaps a pullback, a retest, and that could be a trade that takes us back to the highs there as well. So I'm not convinced with pound USD, which is why I've kind of been standing off pound USD, not really looking to trade it. Yes, we did reject the high here very well. Let's jump back to the 4-hour chart. Yes, we did reject the high here very well, but we've been really impulsive on the way up. So even the bullish move hasn't really shown pullback characteristics, has been quite impulsive. And this bearish leg has been really corrective. So it's not like we smacked into resistance and rejected it very aggressively. It's a very slow descending move here. So if we do find support, I do think that higher low could form, possibly that right shoulder could form. We are testing a nice area of consolidation here, which could act as an area of demand and perhaps see a push to the upside. Again, similar to Euro, similar to the DXY, perhaps a nice break of that counter trend line, and we're off, and possibly a push back to resistance will be the next target for maybe the remainder of the week here. So pound, yes, it's been on the down. It's been trending down, but I'm not convinced. And if we see a strong break to the upside, I do think we're going to push back to highs. As for dollar CAD, this is still stuck at resistance, I believe. So not much of an opportunity here in terms of the buys, at least. If anything, there could be some nice shorts here. I mean, price has had a few wicks now to the upside, really struggling to break free. Perhaps another strong close there. That could be a nice entry signal with some stops above the high. I wouldn't be too greedy with dollar CAD. There is some areas below us where maybe buyers could be looking to jump back into the market and perhaps take price higher. But of course, look to the left, really aggressive reaction. If you can see price start to build up, I do think that's a nice place for a short, at least to come back and test that area. And then we'll go from there. And if you're looking to buy, I still think this is a nice place for a buy as well. I would suggest wait to see how we get there, because of course, if we drop aggressively, that will change my opinion on that buy opportunity. But if it's like a slow corrective move down, then yeah, I do think it's an area which could give us a bounce, a nice area of consolidation, strong break to the upside. Yeah, that's just a textbook area of demand there. So should the correction, the move down, be really corrective and mimic a pullback, yes, I think that's a smart place for a buy if you are bullish. But at the moment, really struggling at resistance. If anything, shorts looks like the best option here. Aussie dollar has been pretty bearish. Of course, I think that's mainly due to Aussie being really weak. So not necessarily seeing the strength on the dollar side of things. It's more so AU being weak. We had the break of support this week, and we haven't really looked back since. And price has been smashing to the downside. We're testing some lows here. I still do think Aussie can drop further. We've been in this ascending channel for quite some time. It's a pretty convincing breakout, I must say, of this ascending channel. Really strong breakout, nice retest. So in my book, I do think we can go lower, but we're just lacking that USD conviction to really push lower. So it's got to really rely on Aussie being weak, which could be the case, the situation. I mean, it has been the situation so far. But yeah, if dollar's going to be weak, it's going to be difficult to break through support here. But again, similar to dollar CAD, we are testing support. By default, this is a nice place for a buy opportunity. We are looking quite corrective as well. If I drop to the hourly chart, it looks like, yeah, really corrective. So it looks like we're starting to find support here. And the bearish momentum we have seen looks to be starting to disappear. Support looks to be holding. Perhaps we can see a bit of a push to the upside for the dollar, for Aussie dollar, sorry, not for dollar. So yeah, I don't mind the buys here for AU. Like I said, I am bearish on the pair, but not blind to see that this is definitely a level which could give us a push higher. It might be a push higher for us to eventually go lower. It could be a double bottom for us to completely reverse. Only time will tell. But in terms of a location for an entry and a stop loss, it does look pretty good there, especially with the way we got there as well. Really corrective. So if you can see some strength there to the upside, I think that could be a nice entry. New Zealand dollar's been really bearish as well. Of course, big sell-off we had this week. Of course, NZD News playing a big role in that. As for the next play, well, as I mentioned yesterday, there are some areas of support to our left where, you know, price could very much find support and look to turn back around again. If things are going to be very bearish, there is support down here. I would suggest if we can break through this level cleanly, then yeah, we could be seeing a lot more downside for New Zealand dollar, perhaps even back down to 0.55. But this is still going to be a steady level of support. Price is quite overextended at the moment. You know, looking at these dips here, 1, 2, I would argue that we're probably in the vicinity of a third, roughly. And similar to Aussie dollar, I probably would be expecting at least a bit of a relief for this one. Again, in terms of the longer term move, maybe we still do continue these lower highs, you know, come back to resistance, supply, and perhaps this could be a nice place for a short. But at the moment, I wouldn't be looking to short the market. We're coming into major support. Market's quite stretched. Kind of got this counter trend line coming into play as well. And it looks like we're slowing down. I probably wouldn't buy just yet, because I think it's way too early, but I like how corrective we are. If that was to continue, maybe double bottom, that could end up being a nice buy opportunity. So yeah, New Zealand dollar in terms of my kind of more, not necessarily intraday bias, but maybe bias for the next 2 or 3 days. I do think a pullback is on the cards, especially from around 0.58. And if you take a look at gold, so gold a bit bullish yesterday, but altogether still kind of within this descending channel here. Again, not reading too much into that because we're just in the middle of a range. I know I sound like a broken record, but that is the case here with gold. Until we get a breakout or test the upper limits or the lower limits of the range, there's not much to say, at least on the 4-hour chart. I understand in the lower time frames there's a bit of activity going on, but on the 4-hour time frame, which is where my focus mainly is, it has been quite chaotic and yeah, not really testing any area of significance. Therefore, I've been standing off gold and looking to trade it. But yeah, if we do manage to get to one of these two levels sooner or later, then yeah, I do think there could be some opportunities, whether we're looking for the breakout or looking for the retest of one of these levels. But at the moment, not too sure what gold is actually doing, to be honest. Maybe it's come back to test an area of demand there. Maybe we do get ready for a bit of a push up higher. I think I probably would wait for a strong breakout, something like this to signify that. Then maybe there could be some intraday pullbacks on the way back to some resistance here, potentially. But again, that's a lot of speculation there. I'd wait for gold to pick a direction. As for now, might even see a bit of downside. But again, it's just really choppy conditions in the middle of a range. Not the best place for entries and stop losses. And in terms of silver, again, for this one, I was in a short position, but I did exit the trade. Momentum did not do what I wanted it to do. I entered on this candle here. Stop losses above the high there. I did exit pretty quickly, actually. I exited on this candle here. pretty much the same time as the EURUSD trade. But again, a big part of this trade was momentum, and momentum didn't continue. Well, it did continue initially, but after this candle here was not a good sign. So I did pull the plug on that trade, roughly like a minus 0.25R on that one, so pretty minimal as well. But again, the trade idea hasn't completely failed. Your price could still come back, retest this area, and still continue south. So it's a situation where I'm still actively looking for re-entries. But again, I need to see that conviction come back into the market, because it was a really aggressive bullish move there. So if we are going to sell off, let's start to see some convincing price action back down again. And I wouldn't mind re-entering on that, looking for the same move, back into this low. Oh. Back into that low, back into this low, and then if everything goes well, even a push to the high here could be a possibility. So I can see silver potentially still continuing down. I'm still looking at this as a lower high, somewhat of a head and shoulder pattern, left head, right shoulder. That's kind of your neckline there. So if momentum is going to pick up again, want to see some strength come in for the bears, and that would be my re-entry. But I wasn't a fan of this candle, especially when I am going counter trend. I try to be a bit more aggressive with my management. If I was pro trend, then I'll probably give myself a bit more room. But yeah, silver still something I'm interested in, as long as we can hold this area. If price does break through that, I'll completely walk away from that short idea. This will then just be a big fake out to me, and then yeah, maybe we do break to the upside after that.